Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramon, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I'm thrilled to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose, serving others, and yes, achieving success. We believe that when we approach our work and our lives with a servant's heart, we can truly make a difference. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world, whether you're an entrepreneur, community leader, or simply someone looking to bring more purpose into your daily life. This podcast is here to support you. Now, while you're listening to my incredible guest, oh my God, he's got some cool stuff he's going to talk about, which I'm excited about. Get your pen and paper ready, by the way, take notes. Think about how you will serve today and what impact you'll create today. And today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsor, Pantheon Alliance. Picture yourself joining an elite community of high-income, successful business owners and entrepreneurs from a variety of industries, all working together to create a powerful referral marketplace and also get educated in our mastermind. It's an incredible opportunity to expand your network and elevate your business to new heights. If you have need some information on that, please reach out to me and I'll get that information to you because I'm part of the Pantheon Alliance myself and I love it. So with that being said, impact and servant's heart, my guest is going to talk finance, money, crypto, a few things, but some stuff that I think people don't understand and get fearful of in finance, that he's going to help uncover those fears and wipe them away from the map. Brett, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve. It's great to be here. Looking forward to the discussion.
As we talked about it, earlier before the show, I'm a fan of securities and all that, but what's the difference between public and private securities? What should people know about that?
Yeah, it's a popular misconception, but all securities, which are really just the shares of ownership of a company or an entity, are either public or private. There's no third option really. And so the key difference is in how they're regulated and what needs to be done to follow the law if you are selling shares or equity in a private company. And that's what we specialize in. And there are regulations and rules both at the federal and state level that you have to follow and to make sure that you keep your nose clean and out of the crosshairs of the SEC and the Department of Justice. So that's the biggest difference. I mean, once stuff that makes it onto the public markets, the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ, it's been vetted and it's jumped through a bunch of hoops to get there. And there's similar hoops that you have to jump through in the private markets.
So an owner listening that wants to do private equity, this private securities, what's the steps? Of course, not everybody should do it because of their company. How do you go through that? How do you analyze that for a company?
Yeah, we work backwards from what the owner's goals are. And a lot of times, always that involves a financial decision, but a lot of times there's a lot more to it than just valuation and money. And so the question is, why do you want to sell part of your business or why do you want to raise capital and why now? Like what is prompting the decision to be made right now? And then we set forth and explain their options and we tailor a process most often in the sale of a business, but we do raise capital as well to meet as many of those goals as we can. So if there's 10 things that are really important, if we hit 7 or 8 of them, we've done a great job. And we find the right, counterparty, whether that's a private equity firm or a strategic buyer or a family office, to match up with the seller and allow them to keep building going forward.
So that's interesting. So I have a private company what's the value of me doing that? I know you answered some of all that, but let me give you a scenario so people can understand, because this can be very complex for people. It was for me until I learned a little bit. So I've got a plumbing company and I've got, one shop. I want to go to 100 shops all through California. Of course, would this be an example of something you might talk to me about?
Sure. And there's two reasons you would think about doing that. And the first is risk. For 99% of the business owners we work with, their biggest asset, their most important asset is their business. And there comes a time at which it makes sense to diversify a little bit, because there's a ton of risk in having your whole net worth tied up in a business. There's a ton of reward as well. But there things can happen. You can get sick. You can lose a major customer. You can lose key employees, and not having taken some chips off the table along the way will leave you kicking yourself down the road. The other thing is OPM, other people's money. So you've got a business and you need to get to 100 stores, but you can't finance that yourself. Perhaps it's right to bring in a private equity partner who will help finance that growth. Yes, you're giving up some equity, but you're going to have a smaller slice in equity, but in a much, much bigger pizza pie than owning 100% of a pizza bagel, so to speak. So,
Yeah.
if you remember those from back in the day,
yeah.
it's been a while since I busted out the pizza bagel analogy, but that's what but that's essentially the reason we do this.
Yeah, that's good. And most of the people aren't going to be that side of it. The side is the public securities. A lot of fear out there, recession, interest rates. I think they're announcing they're going to go down, whatever. How secure are securities? Somebody goes, I want to jump in the stock market. Is it really a place they should be, or should they have somebody helping them, advising them?
Yeah, they really should have somebody advising them. And what I'm going to tell you is my own personal opinion, doesn't reflect the position of Brighthorn Securities, but over a long time horizon, and that's the key thing, is to assess both your investing time horizon. If you need the money tomorrow, don't put it in the market. If you need this money when you retire in 30 years, traditionally and historically, the stock market has performed well, but it's only one component of a basket of assets that you really should be focused on if you're building long-term wealth. But in every case, there's people whose full-time job it is to help manage money, and there's an informational disadvantage that most retail investors have vis-a-vis folks on Wall Street and large funds and large firms. And so trying to beat the market as a retail investor is very, very difficult. Most of the hedge funds don't even beat the index, and they've got resources and information. So trust somebody who does it for a living, and don't micromanage. Just know that there's going to be ups and downs, but over time that money should grow.
I thank you, and that's why you read my mind. We're thinking alike, because I want people to hear that. You can't hear that enough. Oh, I could jump on Webull or Robinhood, and I'm going to buy Apple stock or buy fractions, and next thing you know, their $1,000 is gone. And I use this analogy: you don't want your mechanic working on your heart surgery. We know what's going to happen with that. Securities is emotional. It's fine. Any money talk is always emotional. How do you serve your clients the best?
I'll tell you a quick story, and this, I think, is illustrative of how we work. So we just sold a business. It was a great result. They sold to a public company. It was the right fit for the team, and they made out very well financially. And the largest shareholder and CEO took some time off after the deal, and he was down in the Caribbean on a sailboat. Kind of classic story, right? And he called my partner, Bobby is her name, and said, I feel like we broke up, because they hadn't talked for 2 weeks. And during the course of the deal, they were talking as much as 6, 8, 9 times a day. And that's really an example of the kind of relationship we build with our clients, because there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of excitement and opportunity. But we're a very high touch firm. That's our model. We'll only do 4 to 6 deals a year. And that's by choice, so that we can spend a lot of time with every client that we have. And that's resulted in some great outcomes. We've been doing this for 13 years, have closed a lot of deals, and have helped a lot of people sort of achieve their dreams financially.
high touch is a big word for a servant leader, servant heart. I love that you said that in audience. Remember that. High touch. We can bring love into our, like this story you just told about Bobby. That's business love. It's not love of your wife or your husband. I, I don't know why love in business has gone away, but I love hearing that. I said love again, because that's what it is. She built this great relationship. It was so strong that you want to stay connected somehow.
Sure.
In regards to, you know, the servant heart, but how about the servant leader? What does securities companies do wrong that people need to be aware of when they're talking to a company?
Well, I can speak most specifically in our industry, which is investment banking, mergers and acquisitions, but it's viewing the deal as just a transaction, like selling a house. I mean, people can be emotional about selling their family home, but emotion tends to be, not as big of a deal in selling a house as it is in selling your business, which could be your life's work. A lot of our clients have poured their blood, sweat, and tears into these companies. They've run the business for 20, 30 years. It's so enmeshed and intertwined with their sense of identity. They're known at church or the country club or in their social circles as Jane, who owns XYZ Co. And so to break that, to sever that sort of identity, it comes with a lot of fear and a lot of emotion. And we treat that with the earnestness and respect that it deserves when we're doing deals, because we realize that for most of our clients, this is a once in a lifetime thing, selling their company. And a lot of investment bankers, especially, some larger firms that are more predicated on volume, they don't see it that way. They see it as just a transaction. They see it as just flipping a company from one buyer to the next. And that's not our approach.
Yeah. No, Brett, I'm hearing so much passion in your voice about what you do. Two questions. One, where'd that passion come from and why do you have it?
Yeah, so I started my career as a lawyer, and I worked for a large firm that did big public company deals, and there was not a lot of emotion involved there. My second stint, though, was with a smaller firm where we worked with private company sellers and private business owners. And I remember vividly the first large deal that I kind of worked on. The guy had run a publishing business, tells you how long ago it was. And it was started out of his garage. He had mortgaged his house twice. I mean, he was all in on this business, and he had taken a lot of risk, and his marriage had become difficult because of everything, but he saw it through. He persevered. And when he was at the closing table, and I think he was walking away with 30 million bucks, he was in tears. And I thought that was really cool that this guy had finally won. And I like that. I mean, I'm a big believer in small and medium business. They're really the backbone of the US and the economy. And I just love helping business owners win. And so when I found my way to investment banking from law, I really landed in the right spot, because not only am I meeting with business owners every day who may become clients, or I can help them in some other way, but then obviously we get to see when our clients win, and we get to see them after they win, like when they're on their sailboat in the Caribbean. So it's very gratifying. I love it.
I'm glad you're not a lawyer. I'm glad you're doing this. There's so many lawyers out there. I'm sure you know. I'm not going to say the joke, I promise.
Yeah.
And I love what you just said. I want to highlight that again. Is you'll talk to owners, and your guys aren't a fit. You'll find a fit somewhere. Talk about that, because I don't hear that in finance a lot. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's as simple as making a choice. Do I want to help, and do I want to see that through? And 99% of the time, it's no more than an hour of my time max. And I just made a decision long ago, because so many people helped me when I was transitioning to investment banking, or just helped me generally, that I'm going to try and do the same thing. So if we come across a business owner whose company isn't a fit for us for whatever reason, or maybe they don't want to sell, but they, need help with tax planning or what have you, I'll just block off some time. I'll calendar it out and say, I'm going to spend this hour helping Steve. How can I help Steve? Who are the 5 people that I can introduce to Steve and make sure that he's in good hands? And we don't ever expect to see that come back in a linear fashion, but I just believe that's the way to live. That's the way to do business. And we're proud of that. And I think it's resulted in a great reputation, not only just here locally in Denver, but around the country where we've done deals, because people know that we're good folks.
No, and I'm glad you said that message, because Madoff comes to my mind, and,
Yep.
and all these,
Yeah.
stories that people hear, like, oh God, Brett's in securities. Oh no, they're bad people. They're not
Yeah.
bad people. You hear it here firsthand, live or recorded, that they're good people and they want to help and they can help. Let's talk a little personal. What is your biggest fear besides money?
um, I just turned 45, and I think it's just like a random unforeseen illness. I've had a couple of friends who have gone through some really serious things, and otherwise very healthy people on the surface. And so I'm maybe a little bit of a not hypochondriac, but definitely a little bit anal about getting blood tests and trying to get ahead of anything that may come down the pike. But I think that's it, because I've worked really hard. I've been fortunate, and I want to be able to enjoy my friends and my family well into the future. So that's probably the biggest fear that's outside of business.
I see you're a book reader. What is your favorite book? But first, most, how important is personal development for any leader like you or any business, any industry?
Yeah, it's huge, and I try and be regimented about it. My attention span is shot these days. I used to be able to read, a long novel, and it's harder and harder. But one of my favorite books that I read fairly recently was by Ryan Holloway, called "Ego is the Enemy," and it's got a stoicism bent to it, but it's more about how your ego gets in the way of your happiness and prosperity, how it can be a powerful tool, but that it needs to be harnessed like any other tool. But whether it's books or a lot of podcasts, or I've taken some executive education courses, that's an important part of development. And I love learning. I love learning about new topics and continuing to sharpen my skills. So it's something I spend a lot of time on.
And I like that, because you're successful and being more successful, but you're successful and you're still doing it. It doesn't stop because you've hit the top or close to the top. I know Warren Buffett studies all the time, even in his 90s. I hear, what a
Yep.
perfect example of somebody doing that. And did you say Ryan Holiday?
Ryan Holloway. I
Holloway.
think
Okay.
it might be right. It might be Ryan. I want to say it's Holloway, but the book is called "Ego is the Enemy." And
You keep that.
he's kind of a sales guru. He's written a couple of others that are really good as well.
Yeah.
But that one in particular, I think, is a great one, especially for business owners and high achievers who can be guilty of patting ourselves on the back a little too often.
I love it. It's such a great book. Business owners are out there in it across the board. They do listen to this show. What's one tip you could give them you learned over these years?
So you've built a great business, and you've done it by wearing a lot of different hats, and you deserve all of the success in the world. But please, please, please do not try and sell your company yourself. I hope you hire us if we're a fit, but if you don't, please hire a competent investment banker or M&A advisor to run the process for you, because I have seen cautionary tale after cautionary tale of people who got jerked around, who didn't get the value, who had a bait and switch happen at the 11th hour, and all of that can be prevented in working with the right kind of advisor. And the worst thing that can happen is you try and do the sale process yourself. You take your eye off the ball. The business suffers, maybe revenues drop or profitability goes down. You don't close the deal, and then you're in a worse off position had you never taken that buyer call to begin with. So that's probably the biggest thing. And it's a temptation, because a lot of these business owners have done so well doing it themselves. But this is the one area where you really should leave it to the experts.
And I like that. Again, goes back to mechanic heart surgery, but also too, I've heard from experts like you saying sometimes saying no to a buyer is the best thing you could ever do, right?
Yeah, the ability to walk away and mean it is the strongest negotiating position you have. And sometimes it's about the deal you don't do. And that's why Yeah, the sales process is really a mutual interview, and you've got to ask yourself, what do I, yeah, if you're not planning on being in the business after you sell it, then this is less of a factor. But if you're planning on remaining, like let's say you're selling 70% of the business and keeping 30% equity, and you're going to build with this partner, you got to know what your life's going to look like after the fact, and that's a huge factor in whether or not to do a deal.
That's you get me speechless, which is rare because those answers are so good. Hope audience that you're listening, because if you have a company, and I think you need to start this early. Like my company's 10 years old. Let's go back to my plumbing company and go, you know what? I can make 10 million next year. Let's sell it. That's not a good mindset, I would think. I might be
wrong. No. I mean, the preparation to get ready to sell really happens, 18 to 12 months out, depending on the state of affairs with your books and everything else. But there's a lot that can go into it on a personal level too. So there's some tax strategies around gifting or different trusts and mechanisms you can set up. Perhaps it means you change your state of domicile. We had a client who was going to sell his business in Chicago. He knew that about a year, 18 months away, he moved to Nashville, bought a house, opened an office so that he's not going to get hit with, the state of Illinois, whatever, 11% tax on his $40 million. It's real money. So, there's all sorts of things like that you can do leading up to a sale before you ever start the process. And that's really important, prep work.
Okay, Brett, you proved it. This is a complex thing. You got to hire somebody like you. You just proved it. I'm like, holy mackerel, all this. I would never have known that. Again, let's go back to that, and I'm not going to answer, but hire Brett or somebody. Go out, reach out to Brett, and he'll get you his contact information. You have a question about that. Don't go alone in this. Alone doesn't work in anything we do in business. Always try to have a great network that you have, and that's fantastic. We're coming to the end here, and I'd like to ask this very fun question. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Make you think. I love it.
All right.
He's so smart, guys and girls. He's always ready. So we're at a restaurant. There's a table of 4. You're sitting at one chair. The 3 empty chairs, who will sit in those chairs, dead or alive? Why? And what food would you order?
Fantastic question. Jesus. Just to, I myself am a Christian, but beyond that, to understand what it must have been like to live during that time, and sort of the ability to turn the other cheek and take the degree of suffering, whatever you believe is, I just want to know where that comes from. Tiger Woods, for very different reasons, but the consistent drive to keep winning in spite of being generationally wealthy is a fascinating one. And then maybe somebody who led a movement, someone like Martin Luther King or someone in the suffrage movement, just to understand how it is they were able to inspire people. I think that's something that I don't believe I necessarily possess, and I'm fascinated by people who can really be leaders with that gravitational pull. And then I love anything curry. So whether it's Indian food or Caribbean curry, that's, if I'm in control of the menu, that's what we'd have. We'd have a bunch of different dishes. Everyone could try a little something here, a little something there. So that's probably the most random answer to this you've ever gotten, but that's off the cuff. That's what I came up with.
Well, God and Jesus is the leader of the pack right now. I'm not surprised.
Okay. Well, that's good.
But I love the Caribbean food because that's your jam. But I just had to throw that little joke in there. Great food, by the way. Started to learn about curry. My wife's doing it. It's really good.
Nice.
Brett, this has been great because you really broke down securities and money with a servant's heart. It's hard to do. You did it easily. So I thank you, because people need to know we got to put our money somewhere. We got to be safe with it, and we got to be smart with it. And you really gave us some great tips, and I appreciate you. How can people find you and reach out to you?
Yeah, always open to a conversation. And again, would love to be helpful any way I can. I'm on LinkedIn, Brett Story, pretty easy to find. I could also be reached at Brett, BRETT, at Brighthorn, BRITEHORN.com. And please just reach out and don't hesitate, and would love to have a conversation.
Thank you, Brett. Appreciate you being on. This has been awesome. Please reach out to him, comment on the YouTube channel or on the podcast when he comes on, and I'll get those messages to him. If you can't find him, reach out to me or just send a question to me. I'll get it to him and get it answered. I'll take care of that because he said that I called ABL always be learning. That's what Brett does. I'm going to do more of. He's inspired me to do that. You should do that as well. Also, don't forget about my TV show, Together We Serve, every Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. You'll find me on Apple TV, Roku, Samsung, all those streaming TV services. See my big old head on a 70-inch screen, but you'll look at my guest more, I hope. And with that being said, me and Brett, thank you so much for watching or listening to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Have a great day, everybody.